Let there be light, and welcome to Living Essence. I'm Siddhanta Ananda with another video to bring mysticism to your reality, your experience. And I really feel that mysticism is a way forward and a way out of many situations that we find ourselves in, as far as anxiety, sadness, anger, addictions, pain. Mysticism can show a way in which we can really connect with life and not be a sufferer of life. So I became a mystic some 20 years ago and found myself in the institutional church. And in the institutional church, I learned many things and, became indoctrinated as well and became part of the system that was church, another system within a system. But when I had my spiritual awakening before I became part of the church, I found that the system was the problem. And that's what I find for many of my clients when they come to me and say, I just don't feel like I belong, and I don't know what my purpose is, and I don't know what the meaning of life is, and I just don't know what the whole reason for everything is. You see, when I became a mystic, when I had a spiritual experience, and that's all really a mystic is that the mystery of life is placed as the foremost part of your being. That you realize that life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be experienced, as the wonderful Osho has wonderfully said. So I had a mystical experience. I experienced what some would call God, but it certainly wasn't a person. It wasn't personified, it wasn't an ego. It was existence itself. Everything was one. Everything was connected. And I can see that and feel that within this reality as well. Everything is connected, everything is one. When I bring my awareness to the understanding of that there is only one consciousness having many sub-consciousnesses going on. So there's one consciousness with many viewpoints, so to say. So it's kind of like if you were to imagine the night sky as how they used to think the night sky was, is that behind this great big black veil was a great light shining through little holes in the veil. It's one light shining through these many holes. And that's a great analogy, as what we find is that you go further out into space, and these are in fact suns and planets, and some of the closer planets appearing to look like stars. But when we look at it all of the mass is held together by space, by that which we can't touch, by that which we can't feel, by that which is almost impossible to explain. What is space? In fact, almost anything is difficult to explain. If I was to say to you, if I was asked to ask you, explain the smell of a rose, you would be lost for words. It can't be, it becomes subjective. So this objective thing, all of a sudden, with one question, becomes completely subjective. And such is the nature of life. And such is the way of the mystic. Hence why I do these videos, because I feel that mysticism can help people move past anxiety, move past depression, move past their trauma. Because when you realize that this whole reality that we live in is created by our meaning that we project onto it and our perspective, then you realize that the reality is one, and the many things that we see are the projected illusion. So in this video, what I wanted to address is the idea of reality. What is real? Well, that which is real is what is realized. To vocalize is to make vocal. So you speak out. It's an action. It's a doing. See, when you look at life, it's not a noun, it's a verb. It's a doing, it's a happening. Life is a happening. As soon as we take anything and make it static, which is to basically kill it, to make it dead, or take an inanimate object and take the life away from it, such as a seed that has life in it. If we had to chop it open, it no longer has the life in it. Now we can try and study that seed, but it's been taken out of its context of a living thing. It's also been taken out of its context of what encourages its growth. So, reality is what you realize. See, we go along life basically just sort of unconscious most of the time. Not conscious and with what we're doing. Not realizing what we're doing. How often do you find yourself saying, oh, I didn't realize that? You see, that's saying that until it was brought to my attention, it wasn't real. I didn't realize it. And so this brings a bit of an understanding to all of us. There's many times when we haven't realized something. So it was there, but as far as our consciousness goes, it wasn't. As far as our standpoint is, it wasn't there. So should we blame each other when we don't realize something? And what's the one thing that many of us are not realizing? There's such a thing within the circles of mysticism called self-realization. Have you realized yourself? Have you made yourself real? To self-realize is to bring full awareness, to be conscious in each thing that you're doing. Self-realization is to search and say, well, what is this that I'm experiencing? What is this body? Am I the body? When you search into it, you can realize that you're not your sensations, you're having a sensation. You're not your body, you have a body. You're not your thoughts, you have thoughts. Very much like a player in a virtual reality, you have an avatar, but you are not that avatar. And you can get so tied up, if you've ever played a video game or even watched a movie for that matter, you can become so identified with the character that you truly feel that you are living that character's life. You no longer realize yourself. You're no longer real. You are in that situation, and that's why you feel the anxiety in your body. You can feel what that character is feeling. When they get a fright, you get a fright. Something happens in that drama and you fully embody and feel it. So what you're doing is realizing that drama. Much the same when you step back and bring your awareness to your body, you're then aware that you are simply a witness to what this body is going through. You have an emotion, but you're not the emotion, because the emotion comes and goes. But what is left is always the consciousness that is observing it. So the next time that you are experiencing anxiety, realize I am not the anxiety. I have anxiety, like it's here. But in knowing that it comes and goes, and what is truly realized is that you are the consciousness that is observing the anxiety. Now, the anxiety becomes very, very real for you when you identify with the anxiety. I am having anxiety. I have anxiety. But the truth of the matter is that if you come back to the understanding that you are the consciousness and this avatar is having anxiety, then you realize that consciousness can't be anxious. Consciousness can have anxiety, but consciousness is not anxious. So coming back to that, even in pain, there's times when I've been able to overcome pain through coming back and self-realizing what is not myself, because I don't have a myself. There is a self, the self. The self is another way of saying God, consciousness, source, or that which is aware. There is only one awareness, but there are many expressions and sub-awarenesses. So there's one broad awareness, which is the consciousness. And when I bring my understanding to the consciousness that is, the consciousness that can look through the eyes, that is observing through the eyes, and can drop all judgments, and this is a good practice, is you drop judgment of anything, then you realize that what is simply is. It's neither good nor bad. Now you can say, that is a tree. But even then, that is a construct of human understanding. You've given it a name. And the true consciousness sits in silence. So to truly self-realize, which can pull the self out of anxiety and depression, is to become truly silent. And true silence is non-judgment. It is not to say that is that. It is not to think that is there, or this is a good thing or a bad thing, or even a tree is a tree. Can you simply observe and let what is be? I'm sending you all so much love, and let there be light.